Hey everybody, welcome to our school community group. This is a recording. This is essentially live here in our school community group, the Former Athlete Society. And this is where I try to share some lessons, some habits, some educational content around how you can transition from your sort of collegiate playing days to now your post-playing professional days, right? So this is where all the habits that we should have developed during your collegiate school days, if you will, right? From freshman to senior year to graduating, whether it's grad or whatever, you should have had some of these lessons from your strength conditioning coach, from your applied sort of health and performance team. But if you didn't, then this is what this is all about. It's to help leverage these skills now post-collegiately. So every Thursday, I end up doing our Q&A call. This is where I try to jump in, provide some answers to the most common questions that get asked in our school community group. So this might be things related to your training, to the body, to physiology, to recovery, to sleep hygiene, things like that, right? All of this stuff probably should have been discussed during college, but if it wasn't, then this is what we're here for. Now, you can join the school community group, right? It is free for the first 10 members. After the 10th one, we switch it up and then it changes to a subscription model. So if you get in early and you subscribe, you get it for free, forever for free, right? So head over to adamringler.com/school, SKOOL, or you could go directly to the school site, sign up, and you can join today, right? There's also probably a link in the description of this video down below. Click it, you'll automatically join for free. Okay, so how awesome is that? Now, I want to jump into some of the questions that we got asked. Now, if you join our live calls, we do a live call every Thursday, 9 a.m., where you can jump in, you can skip the line, you could go directly to the front, and you get to ask your questions, and I will answer those immediately, live, on air, right here, every single time. If for whatever reason you have a scheduling conflict and you're like, Coach, I can't make 9 a.m. I have have to drop my kids off at school, or I got a work call, or I'm on my commute or something like that. Then if you're a part of our community, you can email me or direct message me your questions, and every week I will answer those ones. That's our secondary tier, right? So come live, that's first tier. Email or direct message me your questions, and that's our second tier. Third tier is anything on social media that gets sent to me via DM or anything like that. I try to answer those questions if our school community group didn't ask any questions. So, however, that is not today. Today we actually have some submitted questions. I'm trying to pull them up on my screen right here, and we'll dive into some of these questions. So, the first question that I have is, Coach, my knees and elbows always ache the day after training. Am I just getting old, or is there something off with me, right? I'd start with this. There's nothing off with you, right? So I think let's just start with that. There's nothing off, right? If you are dealing with anything, maybe joint pain, things like that, that's common, right? A lot of our former athletes get caught in that sort of trap of training the way that they did during their college days or how they used to, and they don't have the tissue tolerance that they probably once had when they were 18. So no, it's not just about your age. It's about maybe your recovery debt and your movement quality, right? Those are common things I would start with when we're thinking about how to change maybe some of your programming, things like that. So what I would recommend is this. Start by adding 10 to 15 minutes of some type of yielding isometrics in your warm-up, especially for your knees and elbows, right? So this might be things like wall sits or Spanish squats, long planks, things like that. If you don't know what those exercises are, just go ahead and look them up on social media or Instagram. Try to ditch the ego lifts for a while. Instead, focus maybe on tempo and control. Rotate some of your joint angles. And if you're always benching with barbells, then maybe swap in dumbbells every once in a while, or neutral grip type exercises. Those tiny changes can make an impact on your joint stress. And if you wake up sore, don't write it off, right? Your body's trying to tell you something. There's an alarm going off in your body. So maybe just try to listen to that alarm and make appropriate changes, right? So that's a good one. Next one, question number 2. This comes direct message from our school community group. Coach, I eat healthy, but I crash every afternoon. What am I messing up? This is a classic mistake. You're eating clean. You're doing the right things. You're focusing on your macros. But maybe you're not what you're eating or how you're eating isn't right for you, right? So I see this from time to time with our athletes, right? Here's what might happen, right? You're potentially, right? There's a lot of leeway in all this. Potentially, you might be skipping some protein at breakfast, right? And that one meal, that first meal really sets the tone for the blood sugar for the rest of the day, right? You may be, and I don't know, I'm extrapolating, I'm just guessing, you may be underfueling your total calories, especially your carbohydrates. A lot of former athletes still have that sort of high output, but low input, right? Input, calories in, output, calories out. So you might be grazing instead of actually sitting down to structured meals, right? Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, meal 1, meal 2, meal 3, meal 4, whatever it might be. That constant drip feed, not typically great for energy regulation. So my fix would be this, right? Start your day with at least 30 grams of protein, right? Add in some real carb sources, fruits, oatmeals, even potatoes, right? Something like that. Some real good starches, things like that. Then build your meals around protein plus produce plus carbs. And eat that at consistent times throughout the day. And that's it. That's a good way of creating some stable blood sugar levels and keeping things sort of regulated throughout your day. I'm reading, let's see. This is a good one here. Coach, should I be doing cold plunges or red light or massages or whatever else for recovery? Let me know. My body is terrible. Listen, your body's not terrible, number one, right? Recovery might be compromised, and maybe your training is slightly intense, things like that. I don't know. But I think it really depends. It depends on how much stress you're under, right? So you'd have to kind of peel back the layers, look at your training log, see what you're doing there, see what other stressors are going on in your life, and maybe make an appropriate sort of calibration from there. If you're training hard and living fast, yeah, sure. Maybe you might benefit from some recovery modalities. But what most of us need to master is just the boring basics before chasing gimmicks and fads and things like that. So I think what's really important is asking yourself, am I sleeping 7 to 9 hours a day? Most nights, right? Am I nailing my sleep quality and doing what I need to do in the bedroom to make sure I get adequate rest, right? Am I walking every day, right? Walking, getting sunshine, getting outside, like real outside walking, not just steps inside. Am I staying hydrated throughout the day? Am I consistent with my workouts, right? If that's not locked in, those things, then no plunge pool is going to fix it. No sauna session is going to fix faulty recovery or anything like that. So that said, listen, I love cold exposure, right? Especially in the morning. It helps wake me up, right? Especially in Colorado. I could step outside. It's cold in the winter times. Ooh, and that's a shock to the system, right? I like soft tissue work, right? Especially when I feel overclocked and cooked, right? I love red light therapy, but mostly I like just sitting in our sauna because it's 165 degrees and it's nice and it feels great on my body and circulatory system. So my recommendation is this. Start with the free stuff and then layer in the fancy modalities somewhat later. Because those fancy things, if you're not mastering the basics, then that's setting the pyramid upside down, right? So master the foundations, master the basics. Next question. This one was email. You can email me questions at school@adamringler.com. So SKOOL@adamringler.com. And again, that's another way of just getting your questions to me. I'll answer it live here on this YouTube video. So Coach, sometimes I still get in my own head about not being where I used to be. Like I'm competing against my college self. Okay. Listen, that's a real one, right? That's a tough thing to sometimes manage. Is like you still have this former version of yourself that you're trying to compete against and with, and identity and who you are, and what what you've done and your history and your legacy, right? So comparison is part of the athlete DNA. Like you were trained to measure everything, your weight room numbers, your sprints, your stats, your minutes played. All of that goes into probably the ethos of how you operate as an athlete, especially a high performing athlete. But that version of you, that's a snapshot, right? That's just in a moment in time. You're not competing with that person. You're building from that piece. You're building from where you previously were. So I often talk about this sort of mental reframe that I like. And I'm not worse now, I'm wiser now. I'm not worse now, I'm wiser now. I might do things different. My body's just learning to express that wisdom in a new way. So despite the fact you might be a little bit older, despite the fact you might be a little slower or less strong, whatever it might be, right? Physical qualities do sort of wane off. Now, I'm fighting like hell to try to keep everything that I have here at 39, but I'm still fighting that battle. And if you still want to scratch that competitive itch, then do it in micro ways, do it in different ways, right? So track a new 5K time, chase a new body weight lift, see how many days in a row you can hit all of your habits and your disciplines and the behaviors that you set out to master. That's how you win. That's how you compete. Those are great competitions to have with yourself so that you can really dial in your behaviors, your habits, your disciplines to be successful. I want to go one more question, I think, just to kind of dig in a little bit here. How hard should I be training in the gym now? Like, should I still be pushing for heavy 1RMs? Yeah, I think listen, I don't think there's anything wrong with chasing 1RMs. You got to be smart about it, right? I'm still trying to be smart about it. But I do think that there's this over complication or over fascination, if you will, with chasing intensity, right? Especially as you get a little bit older and your joints get a little bit more fragile, if you will. High effort, sure. Like push your effort. High load, maybe not all the time. Be smart with it, right? Like there's a risk versus reward of chasing those things, right? You can make amazing gains in your physical composition and your body and your performance. Training from 70 to 80 to 85 up to 90% of your RM if your tempo is controlled and your sets push close to technical failure. That means clean reps, not grindy, always ugly reps where you're stalling and fighting for your life, right? So I still recommend this split. I would definitely have some heavy-ish type days per movement pattern. You got to at least get that in once a week. I think you should kind of grind out some lifts at least once a week. Maybe have some one volume focused or a tempo day, right? So you're actually controlling the eccentrics, things like that. Maybe you're focused a little bit more, like I said in the beginning, on volume, where you're chasing a little bit more higher sets and reps. And then maybe another day where you're sprinkling in some functional stuff like sled pushes and carries and jumps and things like that. The intensity isn't always have to be about the weight. There's other ways that you can vary up the intensity of what you do in the weight room. So it might just be about focus. Are you engaged? Are you just checking a box to show up to the workout? So great question nonetheless. There's a lot of different layers that you could unpeel to really try to answer that one. All right. I think that's it for this Q&A call, right? I don't want these to be too long. I want you to be able to listen to these on your commute, things like that. So if any of these hit home with you, shoot me a message, right? Or leave a comment in this YouTube video and let me know what resonated with you. And if you want more specifics, right, drop your questions in our Skool group. And hey, if you've been watching these Q&As, and you haven't posted a question yet, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? So hit me up in the comments, message me at school@adamringler.com, or join our school community group, right? And let's try to change that. I got some answers for you. I want to make sure I get your questions answered. So until next time, everyone, I will see you next Thursday for a Q&A call. But if you want to join our accountability call, that's on Tuesday, right? So stay strong, stay sharp, and don't let your old self-talk smack, right? Like you've got a lot. You got a lot of working for you. So let's get after it. Let's have a great weekend. Stay on track, be smart, and do what you need to do.